This is the video that you've been waiting for. In this fourth episode of our series, Padel Tactics, we're gonna be sharing with you the best attacking tactics so that you can win more points in your Padel games. This video is important because most of you try to attack without having an instructor and you are playing random shots to random directions. But after today's video, you will be able to finish more points at the net, close the court to avoid counterattack from your opponents. 3. You will understand why it's important to stop playing deep all the time. And 4. The importance of targeting only one player. All I'm going to ask you is that you hit the like and subscribe button if you think this is the best Padel Tactics series in YouTube, because we are making a really big effort on trying to bring the best content possible, and this really helps us. In Padel, everybody knows that if you want to win more points, you have to be at the net, because the statistics tell us that your chances are much higher to win the point when you are at the net. So this is a solid first rule to start our attacking episode. Try to be all the time at the net. And if you don't know how to get to the net, I recommend you that you watch our third episode, because we explain this in more depth. Okay, Gonzalo, but now that I'm at the net, what do I have to do? How do I finish the point? I'm in the attacking area of the court. So I'm gonna share with you some basic rules that you have to follow. Number 1 is patience, okay? You are at the net, but this doesn't mean that you are attacking all the time. We only have to attack whenever we have the right ball. Here we have to understand the difference of being at the net and attacking. Remember the rule that we have mentioned many times. In Padel, the team attacking is whoever is playing above the net level. That means that I can be at the net, but if the opponent plays a ball that forces me to play below net level, I'm defending. A clear example of this is when your opponent plays a chiquita and comes to a net to attack. You are at the net, but you are actually defending. Other situations where you are at the net, but you are actually not attacking. When the opponent plays a really fast ball to your chest and you are forced to block that ball really short, or when the opponent plays to your high backhand volley, because from here it is really hard to attack. So the most important question, what type of balls should we attack? Well, those balls that they come high enough with respect to a net and that they are not coming really fast. How do I generate these easy balls? Well, the reality is that for most of you, those balls will arrive even though you are not doing anything. What do I mean with this? Beginners and intermediate players, they don't have a solid technique to play consistent, really tight to the net. So, at some point, the reality is that you're gonna get a really easy volley, and that's your time to attack. However, if you are a more advanced player, you have to try to follow the next rules that I'm about to say. For this second rule, we're gonna use the famous Padel Drive Tactics whiteboard. And what I want to tell you is that you have to stop changing directions constantly. Remember that when we are at the net, we have 3 spaces to cover and we are only 2 players. So we are always gonna cover the 2 spaces that are easier for my opponents to attack. For example, if the ball is here, I have to cover space number 3 and my partner has to cover space number 2. We leave space number 1 open because it is quite hard for this player to hit to that direction. So in this example, let's imagine that this player hits back to me, and all of a sudden, without any good reason, I decide to change to this player over here. The problem now is that we both have to adjust our position, because this type of shot, it would be, I was gonna say lethal. This type of shot would be really dangerous, because as soon as I play to this player, we both have to adjust really quickly and we might not have time to get here in time and avoid this amazing Padel shot from my opponent. And this is why in Padel it's so important to keep hitting to the same player. For example, if this player hits back to me, I go back to him. To my partner, back to him. And in this way, we are not opening up spaces because the court is all the time close to our advantage. Another really good reason to keep hitting to the same player is that you have to imagine that this player is going to be able to hit a limited amount of shots under pressure, and he won't be able to get away without making a mistake if we play 3, 4, 5 times in a row to him. To make this tactic even more effective, remember what we said in previous episodes of Padel Tactics. Make them move, okay? I want to keep hitting to this player, but I want to make him move. So ideally, if I can, one ball close to the side glass, the next ball more close to the center, the next one here, the next one here. But take into account that if you open to the center too much, this player might be able to help him and offload the corner. Okay, but what happens if this guy all of a sudden is defending extremely good and he's playing like Chingoto? Well, we're gonna change to the other direction, but with some proper order. First, we're gonna start by playing a ball to the center, and then whenever the ball comes back, now is when we change to the other player. So we do this in 2 steps rather than changing direction completely in once. This allows me and my partner to adjust positioning in time without leaving open spaces in the court. However, having said all this, there is one exception to this rule, and we can change completely the direction if we receive a really easy ball and we think we can finish the point. Why? Because, for example, let's imagine this player hits to my forehand volley and it's a really easy ball and I want to whack it and finish the point. Well, in this case, it makes sense to go to this direction because here I have a larger distance and I can accelerate the ball much more. But take into account that if this player is able to get here and block your shot before you adjust your position, you might be in a really tricky situation. Rule number 3 that you have to follow: do not let your opponents play the lob. This is a concept that you always have to keep in your mind whenever you are at the net. Try to play as many times as possible high to low. Every time you are able to prepare your racket from above the ball, you are going to be able to slice. And in this way, it is going to be much easier for you to force your opponent play below the knee. From here, it is quite hard to play the lob. Another really important concept to avoid your opponents playing the lob is that you need to understand that playing deep volleys is not always good. But Gonzalo, what are you saying? Everybody told me that the deeper the better because it's a stronger volley. Well, the reality is that this is not true, because at a given level, if you play a deep volley to the center and it's not an amazing volley, the reality is that your opponent is always going to be able to lob off the glass. So if I'm going to play the volley to the center, these are the 3 types of volleys that are allowed. 1, I receive an easy ball and I go to the center with a lot of slice, making sure that the rebound is super low. 2, I go to the center again on an easy ball and I whack it to surprise my opponent with a really fast ball. And 3, I can play a normal volley to the center that is not extremely good, but this time you have to make sure that it bounces more or less around the line or even shorter, because in this way your opponent will not be able to use the glass to have enough time to get underneath the ball and play the lob. So if, for example, I receive a ball that I'm not entirely sure if I'm able to play a good volley to the center, keep it simple, my friend. Just keep hitting to the same player that you were hitting to the corner, because even if it's a bit deeper than you want it to, the ball is going to get trapped in the corner and he's not going to be able to generate the counterattack. And at the same time, you have the court closed. But what happens if after all this, my opponents ends up playing the lob and they push me away from the net? Well, now that you are at the back, you have to know how to build your counterattack. And this is exactly what we explained in episode 3 that we will leave up here in case you haven't watched it. Important concept. It is essential that you apply all the rules that we have explained in this episode with your padel partner, because if you are following a plan but your partner is doing whatever he wants, at the end of the day, all these padel tactics are useless. You have to work as a team. So share this with your padel partner so that you can benefit the most from this video and you can win more points together at the net. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this video and what you would like us to cover in the next episode. And before we close it, I just wanted to let you know that we have the Hook Solid in our online Padel store at a really special price, only till stock lasts. So if you want to experience the enhanced sweet spot thanks to the 3D Solid diffuser and why this racket is so unique and is the one that I use, now is the best time to buy it. Padel Drive 10 for a special discount code. Thank you for watching and I'll see you soon. ¡Vamos!